Here once. Awesome. Got it. Oh, I know Milton had been sick too. I hope you're doing better, my friend. It is crazy out there. Okay, so what is one thing that you are grateful for today? And oopsie, let me go back. Would love for you to type in the chat. And we used to have like okay, Jenny's not allowed to because she's driving, but we used to have everybody type in the chat something you are grateful for. So let's start back strong this year with something that you are grateful for. And I agree with Jess. I say health. I was sharing with a friend yesterday, for somebody who doesn't get sick a lot and I'm pretty healthy, it definitely makes you grateful to be healthy when you are sick. So very grateful for health. Oh, Ryan, that's a good one. See your family this weekend. Angie, time away on vacation. I had to stop looking at your all's pictures because I was like, okay, I'm getting FOMO.
So nice. Oh, it's so nice.
It just looked like it was perfect every single day. I'm glad that you got to go. Amy, that's hilarious. Linen sheets. Would not have thought of that. Good thing to be grateful for, though. Rochelle, I think you're one of the only people that I know that lives for the snow. So I'm glad that you got a ton. I am like trying to avoid the snow at all costs. So Jen, oh, planning your vacations. Awesome. Can't wait to hear about that. Lots of things to be grateful for. Michelle, happy belated birthday. I know you had a big one.
Thank you. Yes, it hurt. It hurt. It was a big one. It was a big one.
Well, hopefully it was at least fun if it hurt.
Yes, it was. It was fun.
Awesome. Well, okay. I'm sure by now many of you guys have seen this, and I just wanted to remind you, we've had tons of people jump on the bandwagon, and tons of you guys are messaging and texting me, which is so awesome. But I decided to get a little bit deeper with Wednesday Morning Mindset this year and do monthly challenges. And so basically how it works is every month I'll come out with 7 different challenges. You can work on, do as many as you want to, and pick those. And then we can share and be able to give feedback and all those things. So you officially have 12, 11 days left in the year. So here were the January challenges. Your mindset activity, and for all the gentlemen and probably a lot of you ladies, you'll like this too. Was to watch Man in the Arena. It's on ESPN Plus. So I don't know if you have to like download that or what. Adam, we have it. And I don't know if you can like share my login or what if you need to, but highly, highly recommend you watching Man in the Arena, whether you are a Tom Brady fan or not. I was more of a fan after I watched it because the mindset that he has to just be a great leader and to win is like crazy. And it's a really, really, really good show. In advance, there are a lot of F-bombs dropped, so don't come back on me for that. However, it's very worth watching, and it's super good. Tiffany, oh good, you already watched it. Yes, I mean I like binged it. I couldn't wait. I think maybe more are even coming out on Tuesdays. I don't know for sure. But then your journal topic was to reflect on 2021, and we talked about that in the beginning. But how was your time last year? Your goals, your health, your wealth, your mindset, and then set some intentions for this year. You have an affirmation of the month, and you also have a verse of the month. For those of you that are people of faith that want to do a verse, you can pick and do either one. Several of you have been writing your handwritten notes, and I loved to see that. I still have to do that. So I'll be doing that this week. But we started small, just 7 handwritten notes to people of encouragement. And Linda and I actually had a podcast that dropped yesterday on kindness. And it was Linda's idea. She texted me and she said, I feel like people aren't kind anymore. And she's like, I think we need to do a podcast on kindness. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? She's like, I don't know. We'll just talk about how to be kind. And so we did. And it was actually one of my favorite ones that we've done in a while, but it was interesting. And I shared on the podcast, I even find myself sometimes like when you get in a rut and then you're behind somebody in the traffic light or something, you're like, what is wrong with you? Go, instead of like being a little bit more kind. And then the book, and I know loads of you are reading this. And it's Chase the Lion. And so if you haven't read that or ordered it, I would strongly recommend the podcast. Let me actually flip through these. Here's The Man in the Arena. That's kind of what it looks like on ESPN Plus. Here is Chase the Lion, and I am going to launch a book club probably February, the beginning of February. So excited to be able to bring that one back out. I think this is a really important time in our just world for this book. So I think that'll be a really great one. And then if you are on a healthier quest for eating, guys, girls, who, however old you are, it doesn't matter. This is one of the best episodes I've ever listened to on health. And it's definitely got me in a whole eating kick, and actually did pretty good even through having COVID last week, and I've been really trying to stick with it. And then I'm going to give you a healthy recipe. And here's the deal. If I can make this stuff and it tastes good, then all of you all can make this stuff and it can taste good. And so I am having a really, I love pizza. Like, I can be healthy all day long, but I love pizza. It's like probably one of my favorite things to eat, to be honest. I never get sick of it. I love it. And you know, Adam is like all healthy, so he doesn't want to eat it as much as I do. So I got this recipe actually kind of from listening to that girl's podcast, and it is super good and it is totally healthy. And it's crazy because we've made this several times, and I've got dogs squeaking in the background. Sorry, guys. Charlie's on a roll this morning with a Santa Claus squeaker toy. Then we had regular pizza, and I truly liked this pizza better. So I would encourage you to try it. And it's super easy and it takes no time at all. So to get into our mindset today, we're going to talk about habits. And I recently listened to a podcast by Craig Rochelle, and that's what I wanted to share with you about today. So the potential of your leadership is a direct reflection to the quality of your habits. And remember, we talk about leadership because it has so much to do with mindset. But every one of us are leaders, whether you're leading your kids or your family or people around you, or whether you're leading a team or whether you're leading an entire organization. We all have leadership. And so it is a direct reflection of the quality of our habits. And Craig always says this, because you are what you repeatedly do. And that's who we are, what we do over and over, and the decisions that we make and the habits that we have. He says the people around you take on and reflect your habits. And you can think about that. Most of you would say probably your kids are a lot like you, or sometimes you might even take on habits of your spouse, whether they're good habits or bad habits. If you have a team, they typically take on your habits. The people around you take on your habits. And so he says every big impact is a result of small and wise habits because they compound over time. My word of the year last year for 2021 was habits. And I got really good at some and not great at others that I wanted to do. And I think that it's just continuing to take the small habits. Success. I think this is Stephen Covey who said this. Successful people do. No, this was Andy Stanley. Sorry. I should have that on here. Successful people do consistently what other people do occasionally. And every one of us has a different version or definition of success. Like what it means to Angie might be different than what it means to Michelle, might be different than what it means to Jenny. And that's okay. Like your definition of success is for you. But we do know that all successful people have one thing in common, and that it's that they do things consistently, what other people give up on and do occasionally. And I will say, like him or love him, that's why I really wanted you guys to watch Man in the Arena. And honestly, even though it kind of has some F-bombs, you could do earmuffs. Like if for those of you that have kids that are at like middle school, high school age, I mean, I still think it's great for them because he did consistently over and over and over the things that winners do. So Craig says our habits will make us or break us because we become what we repeatedly do. There are 3 books that he recommends. I have read all of these, but it's been a long time since I read The Compound Effect. But Atomic Habits, many of you have read, and it's one of the greatest books of all time, I believe. But if you're looking to get better at your habits to better your mindset this year, The Power of Habits, Compound Effect, and Atomic Habits are the 3 that he recommends. So there are 3 reasons why we don't succeed when it comes to habits. And these all made perfect sense to me. So I wanted to share them with you because I believe that all of this ties into our mindset, and the better habits that we have the more success that we have, or the better that we feel about ourselves. And then we have a great mindset. So reason number one that a lot of times we don't succeed is we focus on the what, but we don't understand the how behind it. So he says, most of us desire the same things and the same goals, but we have drastically different results. And I can tell you that going back to Tom Brady, I mean, how many people would say that they want to win the Super Bowl as many times as they did? And I'm sure that there's many NFL players that have the same goals and desire the same things, but they have drastically different results. And it's because they don't understand the how. And this is a huge mindset shift. He says goals don't determine success. Actually, your systems do. And you've got to have great systems to be able to have great habits. And that's what leads to a lot of times the success or the results that we want. The second reason why we don't succeed is we don't see progress fast enough. And this, I think, is probably the biggest one. And I think about this with like losing weight. We're like, okay, we're going to do really good for, we're going to lose 10 pounds or whatever it is that you want to do. And we will eat really good for a week. And we're like, well, I didn't even lose a pound. So like, we're over it now. We don't see progress fast enough. So we give up. We just don't push through. And I'm definitely guilty of that too. Or for some of you, maybe that you really want to get more organized and you are going to spend a day getting organized. And then at the end of the day, you're frustrated because it just didn't work out. He says we wrongly conclude that small, wise decisions don't really matter that much. And that's just the wrong way to think, because it's the small things that we do over and over that really matter. And then the third reason why we don't succeed typically when it comes to habits is our negative self-perception actually sabotages our success. And he says every person has insecurities. We all do. I won't ask you to put it in the chat, but I want you to think about something that you are insecure in. And I'm sure that everybody has something, no matter how confident of a person that you are. He says that an unhealthy identity actually creates unwise habits, because when we don't feel good about ourselves, or we have some of these insecurities that we all have, and we don't do anything about them, then that actually creates an unhealthy identity. And then that leads us to making bad choices or poor habits. And then when we make the poor habits, it actually just reinforces the unhealthy identity, because you're in a slump, you're in like a rut. And so I really resonated with this part. And I like this. How many of you have ever had somebody say to you, like, well, everything you touch turns to gold, or you just you have all this success and I don't understand how you have it. A lot of times it's because people don't see the years of work or small habits and disciplines that you've put into something leading up to it. And I think I have people a lot of times that kind of say those things to me or hint those things to me. And I'm like, they have no idea the 16 years of like grind in real estate that I have done. So it's just like, they don't see it. And so Craig says, sometimes your hard work or your faithfulness or your integrity, when you always do the right thing, or small sacrifices, things that you do in private to better yourself, they're never being wasted. They're actually being stored up. And I think that's such a good way to look at that, because he says in time, and remember, it won't be instant. It's not going to be, we're not like in a microwave society, even though we feel like we live in a microwave society, these things aren't like that. It's not instant. Your leadership, your mindset, your success, it all begins to boil the longer that you store up those things, and then it hits. And that's when he says, that's when you really see your success. And that's what other people don't see, the years of all the small, consistent faithfulness things done over and over and over. They just sometimes see an overnight success. And so I think we just have to keep that at the top of our mind, especially when we're thinking about habits, because it is all of the small things. And sometimes it's hard because you're like, gosh, I'm doing all this work, or I'm making all these small sacrifices, or I always do the right thing for all of these people. And it doesn't sometimes show up quick, but we have to continue it. He says it's the things that no one sees that bring the results that everyone wants. And I love that quote. I think that is so true. I see many of you shaking your head. It's the things that no one sees that bring the results that everyone wants. And I know a lot of you are in real estate. Some of you aren't, and that's okay. But the ones of you that are, think about that. I think about that all the time. It's like the stuff the hard work that no one else sees really is what what gets you to be such a great real estate agent. And that's what everyone wants. But a lot of people are not willing to, they're not willing to do the small things. They're not willing to put in the work. And so I think that that is just such a great reminder. And then he shared another quote: our life is the sum total of all the small decisions that we make and the habits that we establish. And I think a lot of times it's just figuring out what those small decisions are that we need to make, and stick with that. Troy had a really great point. He said, I think that that is true the other way as well. If you aren't doing what you need to do when no one is looking, it will cause you to not get the results that you want. And I totally agree with you, Troy. Yep. It's definitely making yourself get the habits of doing the things. Because if you're not going to get them either. And Dawn said consistency leads to success. And that is very, very, very true. And sometimes it's hard because we like shiny things and we're like on to the next. And I am just as guilty as the rest. I have a million ideas, Heather can tell you, like all the time, that I want to do. And it's hard to stay consistent with those, or with a couple of things. Yet I think that that's what really pushes our success. So to end, I want you to think about this. He challenged us and on the podcast, and I want to challenge you guys to start with who goals. And what that means is, as a leader, as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a parent, whatever you are, who do you want to become this year? And actually start with that before you make your list of all your goals. I've already made all of my goals, so I'm going to be doing this backwards. And I know many of you may too, but take notes and journal on this and really think about who you want to become this year. Maybe you want to be a leader who loves your people better. Maybe you want to be a more disciplined person. Maybe you want to be a faithful spouse. Maybe you just want to get sober. Maybe you want to be the best parent. These are all examples that he gives on the podcast. There's tons of them. But who do you really want to become this year? And then after you figure out the who, then you can set your goals around that. Because when you have a healthy identity about yourself, it actually creates positive habits. And so first we have to figure out who is it that this year we want to become. And I think we all can think of something. We all can think of things that we want to get better at when it comes to ourselves, or that we need to become more of this year. And it might be a few. I mean, I kind of thought about that this morning as I was preparing for this, and I can definitely think of a couple right off of the bat. And so I think it's figuring out who we want to become first, because identity shapes actions. And when you know who you are, you know what to do. James Clear says that in the Atomic Habits book. So he encourages us to have your homework to create 3 I am statements. And once you figure out who you want to become, turn those into I am statements. So for example, I am a faith-filled, bold, risk-taking leader. There should probably be a comma in there somewhere. So sorry about that. I am disciplined and consistent as a leader, or I'm a person who will impact many people this year. It could be anything, whoever you need to become this year. What are your 3 I am statements around that? And then keep those somewhere that you can that you can see them and that you can go back to them all of the time. And the reason is because many of you know this, but affirmations, they work. And the more that you can affirm and have affirmations and manifest and all those things, they work. And so if you're creating I am statements and you're telling yourself that you are that constantly over and over and over again, then that's who you're going to become. And you're retraining the neurons in your brain. And again, I'm no doctor, but I do like to read and study on that stuff. And when it's like, what does Diana Kokoska always told me? If you knew how bad a negative thought was for your brain, you would never think another negative thought again, because negative thoughts actually activate other neurons in your brain that continue to produce the habit of negativity and negative thoughts. So the more negative thoughts that you're thinking, you can't even help it, but like they're multiplying in your brain over and over and over again. So you have to really work on your mindset. And that's why we do this, so that we can keep our mindset in a really, really great place. And then after you have your 3 I am statements, this is the last thing, based on whoever it is that you want to be, what's one habit that you need to start? And so for me last year, It was that I needed to start my mornings earlier, and I needed to start my mornings with quiet time and with devotion, and not with emails and text messages and Instagram. And it definitely was a big habit to take on, and it's probably been the most impactful thing I've done ever, really, to be honest. And oh, Don had a great point. Yes, I'm so glad you said that, Don. He said, overthinking leads to inaction. And that's so true. And so here's what I would encourage you on that statement that Don shared in regards to your homework. And this is, don't overthink this. Like, go with just what comes to your mind first, and a couple of like the quick things that pop right up, because some of us can get like deep into the thinking and then we're not going to be effective with it. So that's a really great point, Don. Thank you for sharing that. So here's your homework, and I encourage you guys to do this and to really think about who you want to become this year, and then create your I am statements, and then what one habit do you need to start. And I'm going to be doing this also. And if you want to go, you can listen to the Craig Groeschel Leadership Podcast. And it's the last one that he talks about habits. It's the most recent one that's posted. And if you are a leader, or if you are anybody that wants to grow yourself and you aren't listening to the Craig Groeschel podcast, highly recommend you listen to it. He's amazing. And I love that they're not super long, and they're very like actionable, which is great. Oh, Milton, that's awesome. Milton said he added the daily reader from Maxwell to his daily routine. Wow. Oh, Angie has hers too. Awesome. Oh my gosh, I love it. It is a total game changer. I totally agree. I've used that for years, and that's one of my favorite gifts to give to people, because it really is a game changer. Oh, thank you, Heather. Heather put the link to the podcast in the chat, so you can click on that and maybe listen to it if you've got an extra 20 minutes today. He'll do a much better job of explaining it than I will. However, I know some of you like the cliff notes, and that's what I'm here for. So, Angie, were you going to say something?
No, just thank you. Again, gratitude and stuff. This just gets that little kick of what you need midweek. And again, I know you and Heather work hard on this, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So.
Oh, thank you so much. It's our pleasure, and it keeps us in a good mindset too. So thanks for being on, and it was great to see you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and don't forget your challenges. And I can't wait to hear what you think of the man in the arena and the book and the pizza. See you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Monica. See you guys. Bye, Jamie.